Hey, it's Loree from the blog wagonwheelhomestead.com, and today we're going to talk all about growing microgreens. These are microgreens that I grow in my basement. They're very easy to grow. They are some of the most nutrient dense and healthy food on the planet, and I'm going to show you how we grow these so that we can have fresh greens even in the winter. We grow 4 different kinds of microgreens weekly and deliver them to our local grocery stores for sale. We grow sunflower, radish, broccoli, and pea microgreens. You can visit our blog wagonwheelhomestead.com for printable instructions on how to grow each of these and more about the health benefits and ways that they can be done. I'm going to start with showing you the exact process we follow each week to grow all of these microgreens. For larger seeds like the sunflower and the pea microgreens, you will want to soak them in water overnight. And for the sunflower, I use 125 grams or about 1 cup of seeds per tray that I grow. And for the pea, I do about 225 grams or also about 1 cup of seeds per tray. And I soak them in water overnight. The sunflowers seem to want to float, so I typically put the bowl of peas on top of the sunflowers and it keeps them weighted down. You will want to get some shallow microgreen trays, and I will link these in the description box below. These are from True Leaf Market. They are heavy duty, and you will want to put a tray with drainage holes in a tray without holes, and that will help you to water them. And I will show you more about that later on. Then you just put the soil in the trays, and I like to fill them up to the edge of the trays. I measured out the amount of soil I typically use, and it's about 14 cups per tray. I will link in the description box below the soil that works well for growing microgreens, although you can just buy any potting soil from the hardware store. You do not have to get specific special soil for growing microgreens because they're getting all their energy and nutrients from inside the seed. They don't actually get any benefit from the soil or from any fertilizers that might be on the soil. So then I just take the soaked pea and sunflower seeds and spread them out evenly on the dry soil in the trays. I grow about 10 trays of microgreens a week, and because each tray produces a different amount of greens, I grow 2 trays of sunflower, 2 trays of pea, 4 trays of broccoli, and 2 trays of radish. And that supplies 2 and sometimes 3 grocery stores with the greens that they need for our rural area. If you are growing these just to eat at home, you could even grow just half trays of sunflower and pea, and then another half tray of broccoli and radish, and that would probably be all the greens that you would need for a week. So it really doesn't take a lot of space or supplies to have fresh greens that are very nutrient dense all year long. I like to get all of the seed from True Leaf Market. You don't want to buy cheap seeds for your microgreens because you will get a poor germination rate, and sometimes the cheap seeds that you might find at the store have been sprayed with pesticides. So it's a really good idea to get good quality seeds. It's a very good investment. The reason I grow different amounts of the different kinds of greens that we grow is because they each produce a different amount of greens per tray. So the sunflower greens produce about 20 ounces of sunflower greens per tray, and the pea produce about 12 to 15 ounces per tray. When I'm done with the seeding, I always stack them up in preparation for watering. Now it is time to seed the broccoli microgreens. So again, I'm just adding dry soil to my tray sets. And once again, these are trays without drainage holes on the bottom, and then a tray with drainage holes nested inside of it. And I like to call them a tray set. Spread out the soil evenly. And for broccoli and radish microgreens, you do not have to soak the seed prior to planting. So I use a scale, but you do not have to. You can just use about 1/4 of a cup, a little less than 1/4 of a cup per tray, but I'm going to use 32 grams of broccoli microgreen seeds per tray and just sprinkle them on evenly on top of the dry soil. And once again, I will stack these up in preparation for watering prior to the germination phase of growing. Next, it's time to seed the radish microgreens, and they produce about 12 to 15 ounces per tray. So I will grow 2 trays of radish microgreens every week. And once again, I use 32 grams of seed per tray, or a little less than 1/4 of a cup if you don't have a scale. It's really important when you're growing microgreens to grow them with enough light. So you can put them in a sunny window if it's summertime and you're getting a lot of light. But if it's wintertime and you're not getting as much light, you might want to consider getting a plant rack set up, and I have a link to my favorite setup down below in the description box. And that is what I use to grow all of these microgreens and to start all of my own seeds every year for our garden. It's not very expensive and it's very worth the effort. So when you are done seeding, then you just spray water over the top of the seeds in the tray. And again, you don't want to put too much water on the trays, just enough to wet the soil and the seeds. Then it's time to put them in germination phase, and to do that you can stack them up to 6 high, and then you will add another tray on top and put some kind of a weight on top. You can use a paving stone. That is a nice even weight. It should be about 15 pounds. All I have is 5-gallon buckets, and so that's what I use. And what this does is it helps to push the seeds down into the soil, and after about 2 or 3 days, this is what they will look like. These are the radish, these are the pea microgreens, these are the sunflower microgreens, and these are the broccoli. And they will actually grow enough to push the weight right off the top of them if you leave them long enough. So as soon as they are starting to push up on the trays above them, it's time to take them out of germination phase and water them well before putting them on the plant rack under the lights. For sunflower microgreens, you will always want to top water them, as you see me doing here, and that is to help loosen the holes that are on the greens. For all of the other greens, I bottom water them, and that's the reason for the solid tray on the bottom. And I just pick up the top tray, and using a pitcher, I pour about 1 quart of water into each microgreen tray per day. And they suck up the water. It's called bottom watering. They suck up the water and get exactly the water that they need. And after just a couple of days, this is what they look like. They change and grow so fast. So as we go along through the process, these are the sunflower microgreens, and when you top water them, you will want to brush them vigorously with your hand, which will help to loosen all of the seed holes off the top of the greens. Sunflower greens are really easy to grow, except you do have to do this extra step, but they are super yummy and well worth the effort. Sunflower greens taste similar to carrots or maybe even spinach. They're really yummy and great to eat just plain as a snack. You can take these greens outside and do this if you don't want all of the seed holes all over your floor, but I grow in my basement and it doesn't matter. This is what they look like as they get a little bigger, and again, I water once a day, so I water every 24 hours. You will get a feel for how much water to give them. It's okay to let them dry out some. If they look a little wilty, just give them some water and they will perk right back up. But again, I give them about 1 quart a day, and that works well for my growing environment. You can also see we have some sweet potato slips growing, and I'll be showing a video on how we start those as well. You'll want to harvest your microgreens right before they start putting on their second set of leaves, which is their first true set of leaves. And for my growing environment, that's usually about day 9 or 10. These are the sunflowers, and what you want to use is a sharp knife. You do not want to use scissors because scissors will crimp the stems. And as I mentioned, we sell for our local grocery stores, and so I package these in clear plastic trays. You can just harvest them into a bowl for your use at home, but it's important that they don't have a lot of extra air space in the bowl because that can tend to dry them out and shorten their shelf life. These will last in the refrigerator for 2 to 4 weeks, so they have a really long shelf life. And these sunflower microgreens are a little more tedious to harvest because there is the occasional hole, and so I just have to sort them out as I go. But the rest of them are very fast to harvest, and so it's fine to take a little extra time and harvest the sunflowers. Next up is the pea microgreens. They are always really fun to harvest because they produce so much. So you just grab a handful with one hand and with the other hand carefully cut them off with your very sharp knife. I usually put 2 ounces into a tray, and then we also do a larger mix tray of all these greens called an immune boost mix, and it's 9 ounces total. Pea microgreens taste very similar to sugar snap peas. They are sweet and very delicious. They're my favorite to eat in wraps. Next up is the broccoli microgreens. They are harvested the same way. They're more tender and small, and again, they don't produce as many ounces per tray, but they are one of our most popular items. And you can see I'm adding them here to a mixed tray. This just shows how you can cut them off with a knife, very simply and easily. Broccoli microgreens taste similar to adult broccoli, but they are more sweet and less bitter. They have a really tender texture, and kids really enjoy eating them a lot more than they do adult broccoli. And last but not least is the radish microgreens. These are a zesty, spicy microgreen. They're so good on steak or sandwiches. If you like radishes, you will love radish microgreens. And again, all of these microgreens have 40 times the nutrients of regular adult vegetables, so they are very, very good for you and an excellent thing to add to your diet. We especially like to grow them in the winter because it augments the food that we're eating from our pantry that may not be as fresh, since we can't grow food outdoors here in Nebraska in a zone 4. This just shows the labeling that we do. So we have created our own labels, and we write the harvest date for each package on the label and then package it up, and it's ready to go to the grocery store. We like to eat microgreens many different ways. They're great on top of eggs or quiche as shown here. They're great on top of soup, in sandwiches, in salads, in wraps. The sky is the limit, and they are such an excellent addition to your diet. So thanks for coming along with me today. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, as we will be producing more videos that show you how to grow a simple, sustainable life on a modern day homestead.